Hello, kindergarten friends. We have a great Bible story this week about being afraid, and we all get scared sometimes, don't we? One of the things I'm scared of is spiders. And just this week, I was sitting at the table finishing my breakfast when right in the chair right next to me there came a big furry black spider. And I was so thankful that Jeremy was just downstairs working from home. And so I called to him and I said, "Jeremy, there's a spider." And he heard me and he came right away and he rescued me from the spider. And I was so thankful he was right there. So during our story today, I want you to listen for who's scared and who rescues them. As he often did, Jesus had spent the day telling the people who came to see him stories and healing those who were sick and making them well. And the people loved to be with Jesus. It had been a long day, and yet nobody wanted to go home. They all wanted to stay with Jesus. But Jesus was getting very tired, and he needed some rest. So as the sun was going down, Jesus asked his disciples if they would take him across the lake in their boat. So Jesus and the disciples got in the boat, and Jesus laid down in the back of the boat. The boat rocked up and down, and the gentle waves soon helped him to fall asleep. At first there was a nice cool breeze, and as the sun set, the stars came out. The disciples were fishermen and liked being out on the water at night. But soon the wind started to blow faster, and the clouds got darker. The waves got bigger and bigger until there was huge waves. It began to rain hard, and there was lightning and thunder. And soon water started splashing into the boat. The wind blew harder and harder, and it was even hard to steer the boat. The disciples were getting scared. They knew that they were in a bad storm and that the waves could make their boat tip over. But where was Jesus? Jesus wasn't scared at all. He was still sleeping. The disciples decided they needed to wake him up. Jesus heard the disciples call to him, and he sat up and he looked around, and he saw the waves and he heard the wind and the lightning and thunder. But Jesus wasn't afraid. Right away he knew that his friends were scared, and he didn't want them to be afraid. So what do you think he did? He stood up in the boat, even with all the crashing waves and the wind, and then he commanded the storm to stop, and it did. The strong wind stopped blowing, it stopped raining, the dark clouds went away. It was calm and peaceful again. The disciples weren't afraid anymore. Jesus helped the disciples to be safe. Jesus asked the disciples why they were afraid and told them, "You don't need to be afraid when I am with you." Just like Jesus heard the disciples when they were scared and called to him, he will always hear us when we call to him. And that is what our memory verse is about. It's found in Psalms 118, verse 6. And it says, "The Lord is with me. I will not be afraid." I miss you, and I hope you have a wonderful Sabbath.